is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the After Show. I feel like we're putting out a lot of after shows these days.
Where?
What's back, buddy?
Do I do anything else? Do I do anything else? Do I just do this? What is back? What is back is Star Trek Lower Decks. It is the final season of Star Trek Lower Decks. I'd like to point out, too, guys, by the way, we did manage to save Prodigy. Maybe there's I know there's a big movement online right now. Save Lower Decks. 5 seasons is great, but even the voice cast has come out and said, we'll do this for as long as they let us. Like, we'll just keep cranking these out if we can find a new home for this stuff. So cross your fingers, guys. Keep watching the show. If you're a fan of the show, and we're assuming if you're watching this, you're watching that, because there be spoilers. We're going to talk about the whole show. Keep watching the show. Go back to the beginning and watch those two. The more hours that Paramount Plus has views of this, the more chance they're going to be able to sell it to another streamer and have them take over the show and start again. So, guys, we're back big time. Episodes 1 and 2 dropped today. We're recording this on Thursday.
Before we do get started, I do want to mention Lower Decks has consistently been one of my favorite Star Treks over the last 5 years. I feel like right off the bat, they hit the nail on the head with what the real Trek nerds liked about Star Trek. And then they sprinkle all these things as Easter eggs throughout the show, and it's just been so good.
I saw a brilliant comment on Reddit just the other day, and it said, this would work as a comedy even if it wasn't set in Star Trek, and this would work as Star Trek even if it wasn't a comedy. So it's that kind of the characterizations, the world building, the ship, everything works well together. So, and including for these first 2 episodes. These first two episodes were maybe not the funniest episodes I've ever seen. However, I do find with Lower Decks, that's typically kind of what happens. They start kind of setting the stage with the first couple. They're not meant to be hilarious. They get them into these situations first, and then they start kind of hitting you with the funny. So the first 2 episodes, guys, just so you know, not laugh out loud funny, but lots of things are actually happening. Lots of things are getting set up that are clearly going to pay off later on in the season. So,
and that's a point I wanted to address, because I feel like they've found a great mix between the serialized and the weekly
episodic
type show, and they've kind of built in a mix of both now, where every week Lower Decks has its own independent story, but it usually affects the following episode. Like episode 1 literally starts a few months after the last episode.
Right.
Of the
yeah.
season.
No, it's kind of what Strange New Worlds is doing a little bit, where there is like a thread that will continue show after show after show, but each new show, each new week, there's a whole other situation to solve. There's a whole other thing going on that they have to do that's got no relevance on the week before and no relevance on the week after. So yeah, you're right. It's a good mix. And this week's first episode is no exception. It's called Dos Cerritos. Because something that we haven't had on this show yet is an alternate dimension, which they explored, I think, on almost every level of Trek at some point or another. But they come across another great space rift, a space-time rift, to which Mariner says, "Oh God, another one of these rifts! Like, God damn it, I hate these rifts. We're getting so much of them." And an alternate Cerritos. It looks like the alternate Cerritos comes through, but it turns out our Cerritos actually goes to their alternate dimension, and we get all kinds of. It's only slightly off.
It's 32%. No, 0.32%.
No, 0.32% off from the one that we already know. In fact, the only one that wasn't
hair
there,
is different.
Yes. The Cat Doctor looks the same. The Vulcan Talen looks the same. Like, everybody basically looks the same.
Talen says remarkable instead of
fascinating.
Fascinating. Yeah. You know, so it's all little things like that.
Yes.
Except for the main cast.
Yes.
They are quite different.
Yes. So they're clearly, a couple, even the side cast, I did like how they put Billups as King Billups, which means Billups got laid, because that was his whole thing. And somehow he was able to stay in the ship. So that was fantastic. But yes, Captain Freeman is now Becky Freeman. It is Beckett Mariner that is now a captain, and apparently not a very nice one. Becky's a bit of a bitch throughout the entire show. And we get Otherford, which I thought was very cute for Rutherford, who's missed Tendi so much that he has completely augmented himself. He's I think someone says he's more Borg than anything else now. And then, Boimler, clearly alternate Boimler is modeled after Riker. Like, there's like The
Yes.
beard. Even at one point towards the end of the episode, he goes to get out of his chair to take the captain's chair, and he Rikers off the chair.
He Rikers off the chair. I
to
picked
go
that
get
up
into
too.
the
Like,
captain's
oh, this
chair.
is
Like,
genius. Yeah.
I'm so glad how much they fit Riker into as many episodes as they can. But while all this is going on, I feel like they must have done a focus group of the people that watch Lower Decks and asked them who their favorite character was. And unanimously, people clearly said Tendi, because Tendi has her own completely different storyline. She's back on Orion, being the mistress of the winter solstice.
Which is how it ended.
Yes.
It ended.
No, agreed.
Right? Yeah.
But interesting that it wasn't just like, oh, hey, off camera, she's
yeah. Oh, and then she's back.
No.
Yeah. No.
She's not. No, she's off pirating with her pirate chicks, and she's trying her best not to be a filthy, thieving, knife-wielding, killing pirate. But at the same time,
was a better story. Because the to me, look, I'm gonna stop you right here for a quick second.
Go ahead. Yeah,
that was the better story to me, because the whole alternate timeline, I don't want to call it mirror universe, because mirror universe has a specific
a little bit different, but alternate dimension for
universe,
sure.
But that alternate universe, alternate dimension, it felt like they just needed a story to fill in the gap of Tendi's story. That's how that story felt to me, and it just felt like a gimmick. There was no real, oh, we're doing this because we want to bring you to this point. It didn't feel like that. Although,
because it's the exact opposite for me. I feel like the alternate dimension, which has been done so many times in Star Trek, was the Star Trekiest story, and the Tendi story is just because everyone loves Tendi so much, we want to give her something where it's just Tendi doing it, so you get more Tendi than you do. We got more Tendi in this episode than we got the rest of them combined. Correct. And same with the next episode. In fact, the next episode, it's almost all Tendi. So it actually felt the difference for me. It felt the opposite for me. That it just felt like they're shoehorning the Tendi story in there, so you get a lot of Tendi, because Tendi tracks well in the focus group. Anyways, regardless, there's still a lot of Tendi in this one. She finally gets the last mission from her sister to recover this ship, this 300-year-old ship. And she is clear, like, if I get this for you, I get to go back. She's like, yes, no problem. Yeah. And it's her and the 3 other pirate girls, and they get beset upon by the Blue Orions. Do you know?
Orions?
The Orions. I'm not familiar enough with the Orions to know. Like,
I had no idea.
Blue Orion. Okay, so it's
I had no idea. Yeah, I didn't know they even existed.
There's got to be some in jokes. Maybe it's a TOS thing. I don't know, those old scientists. But maybe it's that, because they even make a comment about they'll stop making fun of us in our silly suits or silly uniforms or something. And they look silly. Now, guys, there is a not glaring, but there's a very large overarching sort of theme, I guess, as far as because all the Blue Orions are dudes and all the Green Orions are chicks. So it kind of ends up coming down to
they're not all chicks, but
the main pirate gang is.
Pirate
gang
yes.
is 4 women, and they're facing off against 4 Blue Orions or Orions.
Orions, yeah.
So they do play that up a lot more in the second episode for Shades of Green, but even in this episode, you can tell the parameters are kind of being set. It is a girls get it done, but again, it didn't feel forced. Orion pirates, there are ladies most of the time. Like that's the whole point. So yeah,
from my understanding, I think there are more women Orion than there are men.
Right, and the pirates in particular are meant to be. Pirate captains are meant to be women. So it was just it took me a minute. I'm like, oh, I see what they're doing here. They're not just going to have 4 Blue Orion ladies against 4 Green Orion ladies, because that would just be too.
Yeah.
So we're going to have it like that. I still enjoyed the interactions between, though, the alternates, like the Ransoms fighting over the buttons, and him saying, hilarious. "You sexy bastard, you vicious hunk." They were like super great. Becky Mariner saying, "What in the Kazinti fuck is going on?" Like that, I thought that was a great Easter egg. And then, so the only thing I will agree with you on is the cliche that happens, of course, with the old switcheroo. So Mariner wants to
where that broke for me.
I know.
Yeah, that's where that. So I was like, really? Like I did see this coming from a mile away. Like,
to be fair, Mariner says it to Becky.
She does.
He says, like, "Oh, the old switcheroo. Like, how lame is this that you're doing the old switcheroo?" So at least they're playing off of the fact. Yeah. Like, which I think is the only thing that kind of saves it a little bit. But initially, you're like, yes, of course, she's going to try to take her place, live this carefree lifestyle instead of being the jackbooted bitch that she's turned into, hitting people with a riding crop and everything else. It's just wild. Yeah, and then back to Tendi, we find out it's a medical frigate instead of pirate ship, and she heals one of the blue Orions, and then the other girl pirates are like, "You
She's
can't
a
be
doctor,
healing them.
right?
That's
Yeah.
not okay. What are you doing?" And then they all figure out that none of them want to be pirates. They all have alternate shit they would rather be doing, and they just assume Tendi could do whatever she wanted because she was such a kick-ass pirate. And Tendi's like, "No, I just left. I just didn't want to be a pirate." And then none of them want to be pirates. So you definitely get like a little camaraderie going on there. And I'm not gonna lie, by the end of this episode, I'm like, does Tendi just stay?
Yeah,
Like,
I kind of, yeah.
You know what I mean? And especially at the end of the episode, she returns the ship, she gets a chance to leave, and she decides to stay. By the end of the episode, I'm like, man, if this whole season, the last season, is just this weird double narrative of everything going on in the Cerritos and then everything Tendi's doing, I'm gonna start flipping tables. Like, get that green bitch back on the Cerritos. Cerritos strong, man. That's what I need. I don't want it to be off her doing her own pirate thing all the time.
I don't disagree with you. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of, these 2 episodes have kind of made me want more Orions.
Okay.
I want more of what's going on there.
Really?
Right?
The whole pirate thing and the hierarchy and the
there's
families
clearly
and all that,
fighting
the syndicate.
factions.
Yeah.
Like there's clearly a lot going on there that we've just only scratched the surface with Tendi. Because let's be honest, before Lower Decks, how much did we know about Orions? Other than Green Slave Girls.
No, it's just
right?
what we gleaned from the shows. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right? Now we're actually learning a little bit more about the Orions and who they are and how they work. And you're realizing that.
There was an Orion pirate queen in that other live-action Star Trek show. What was that live-action Star Trek show?
Oh, you mean the one that we don't talk about? The one
that you don't talk about, that's for sure. We do actually learn quite a bit about Orions in
you're right.
in Discovery, but
you're right.
And you're not a fan, so that's fine. So what are you saying? Would you love to see like some kind of a some kind of a spin-off where it's literally just like on the Orion side of the...
I wouldn't mind a spin-off. I have a feeling that they wouldn't spend 2 whole episodes on that storyline if it wasn't going to be a major arc in the season. I think this is going to come back.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, there's something more going on there. Yeah. I mean, at the end, so in the second episode, let's jump to the second episode.
I was just going to say, like, we get a whole lot more of it in the second episode.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost all...
Well, it's almost all Orions.
Yeah.
So they get in front of the big Orion, the big cheese. I don't know what her name is, if she's the queen or...
She is the pirate queen of the syndicate.
She's the pirate queen.
Yep.
And she's like, no, this is not going to do. Like, you can't be like, this doesn't work for me. We're going back to the old ways. We're going to settle this like pirates, and we're doing a pirate race.
Now, this is pod racing. That's all I could think of at the time when she said we're going to have that. I love how the Blues are like, listen, we're declaring war because they beat us, but in a very unpirate-like fashion by using laughing gas. And I'm like,
And it's like,
right,
really? Like,
now I see where we're going with this.
Like, you're pirates. Like, aren't you supposed to be doing whatever you want to do to get the job done?
Anything you could do.
So, you know.
I did like the swerve with the sister, by the way, too. Initially, it looked like she was just going to be sick when her and Tendi are having like their little back and forth or whatever, and she starts to feel ill or whatever. I'm like, oh, is this how they keep Tendi here? Like, she's going to have to take over for her sister, become the Prime, and this is just where Tendi's going to live. And it turns out the sister isn't sick. Morning sickness, I guess, but the sister is pregnant
with the new
whatever
she's called,
the whatever of the winter solstice or whatever. So mistress of the winter solstice. Which I mean, I don't know who the dad. There's no mention of who the dad is. In fact, I don't think
see him at the end. He's
we
standing
do
next to her. He doesn't have a single line.
Right.
He doesn't say anything in the episode. But he's there. In the end, he's there. They allude to the fact that the man standing behind her, I guess, or beside her, is the father. Right?
Now we do get some stuff on the ship though too. Talen is trying to engage with Rutherford to get him to help her fix stuff. We don't realize until
Rutherford is in that funk.
Yes,
because Tendi's gone.
Yeah, but we're not told that initially. It just
we're not. You're right.
She's studying for an exam of some kind, and she asks him to help her.
Right.
And then she just stands there staring off into space while he tries to fix a door, and he's all creeped out by her, which was a fantastic scene.
That was funny.
All the Rutherford Talen scenes are fantastic.
It was amazing.
The whole episode.
I really liked Talen.
No, she's
Best
great. It's a
addition of
shame they
season
added
4.
her so late to the show.
Yeah, best edition of season 4 for sure.
Yep. No, I agree. And then on the planet, they're getting rid of capitalism and they're getting rid of all their currency. And Boimler's using his bointers to bore the shit out of the ensigns who are doing all the work of gathering up all this cash. They've got all these T-shirts and signs saying "No money, no problems," and all kinds of great stuff. Everything's free now, and it looks like it's just an absolutely lawless society, which makes you wonder if we ever had replicator technology, would this be what it looks like? If there was no want or no need, and you could just hit a button and you would get whatever you want, would this be the result as we try to ditch currency and just had stuff that we needed, type of thing, right? So, because most of the reason why we have currency is because there's stuff we need, but people have to produce that and have to be paid for their time, blah 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 blah. So, and funny, and I liked it throughout. That was pretty cool. The ensigns.
Where did the bointers come from?
The pad from the alternate Boimler, the Riker Boimler.
The Riker Boimler.
That's right. So now our Boimler is trying to pattern itself, trying to grow this cheesy little peach fuzzy
He's got
mustache.
4 hairs on his face.
4 hairs. That's it. He's even stroking them at some point in the episode, which is great.
Mariner, you may make. Don't move. There's something on your face. He's like, what? What? Is it a bug? Is it a...
Of course, Mariner's going to light him up for it. Absolutely. But yeah, the ensigns get kidnapped. So hijinks ensue on the planet. Nothing's really happening here other than, like you're saying, like we get a sense of what Boimler is trying to do. He's trying to emulate the Riker Boimler. He's not doing a terrible good job. That's not his role. It's not revealed at the end of this episode. Like, he doesn't tell them he's using the pad, but we're going to get, like you said, like this is setting up, like in an episode or two, he's going to be like, I just have to be me. I can't be him. I have to be myself. I have to return to what I'm doing or whatever, because all that stuff goes sideways. But it all feels pretty like, I don't want to say not, nothing.
It feels like filler. You can say it.
Yes, 100%. That felt like filler.
Yeah. The for sure the Orion storyline was the main storyline of this. And for me, the alternate storyline was T'Lyn and Rutherford, and then the Boimler Mariner stuff just felt like, well, we have to have them in this episode. They're the 2 stars of the show, so we better make sure they're doing something on the planet. Felt very much like The Last Jedi when at Canto Bight. Like, that's very much what it felt like. The Last Jedi, a little Star Wars reference. You guys, I know, making a Star Wars reference on a Star Trek show, I should be. No, you're right.
I should be flogged.
You're right.
That's what it kind of felt like a little bit. Like, oh, they're the stars. We got to put them into some kind of a situation where they're in. Yeah. So this is the other trope. We had a trope in the first one. The trope in this one is Tendi snoops and finds out that her sister is pregnant through going through her private logs. Then she just pretend for the whole episode that she doesn't know that she's pregnant, and she tries to essentially baby her the whole time.
Her. Yeah.
And like 20 minutes in, I'm like, Jesus wept. Just tell her you
fucking
know
tell
she's
her.
pregnant. Like, it got so bad.
Yeah.
Which the show's usually a little bit better than this kind of thing. Like, they can take one thing and go a little bit too far, but it really felt like holy fucking please,
it went
can
way
we get to a point where you just tell her that you snooped and you know that she's pregnant? Because even when she does, and by the way, she's like, oh yeah, the rest of the sister crew all knew. You were the only one that didn't know because we knew you'd be like this. So it didn't even have like any sort of anyways.
Yeah,
they do the pod racing. They
again, it felt like a reason to engineer the issues that they were gonna have.
Yes,
and because they can't just win the race.
No,
right? There has to be something to stop them from just easily winning the race. This was it. Tendi was the reason for them not winning the race because of everything that she's doing. Because she knows.
Yes.
That her sister's pregnant, and she thinks that she has to baby her, and of course everything goes sideways.
So sideways. Right up. By the way, it's going well for them right up until Tendi decides a tie is going to be better than us winning for whatever weird ass reason. She owes the Blues nothing. They've been dinks the whole time, but she's like, no, I'm going to do this the Starfleet way. And the Queen of the Syndicate goes, no, you both suck. Everybody loses everything. Stop being so Starfleet. You have to be a pirate. And Tendy's like, well, I'm not a pirate. And then, of course, everything kind of works out as well because all the wealth that came off the planet that was getting rid of currency is now going to go all to Tendy's family on Orion. So that all works out, and that's great. Girls get it done. And Tendi is back on the Ritos. So it feels like, I don't want to say there's like an interlude, but it kind of feels like now that she's back, we can get back to like what things are supposed to be happening on the Ritos. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Instead of this dual narrative that's kind of going on, I enjoy
yeah.
I enjoy the Orion stuff too. Don't misunderstand me, but I don't want a whole season of two separate narratives running parallel for each other. I want them all together doing shit, right?
That was my big issue with, to be honest, with these first 2 episodes. Is it felt like there was too much going on.
A little bit.
Like you almost lose the point.
Kind of.
Right.
Kinda?
Like the one story that is just dumb and doesn't make sense, then disinterests you in the story that they're actually trying to tell.
Yes. Yeah. I know.
Right?
Guys, don't come after us. I still enjoy these 2 episodes.
100%.
And like I said at the beginning, I get that they use the first 2 episodes to kind of build towards everything that's going to pay off later. Everything that you saw in these 2 episodes is going to have some kind of a payoff later on in the season. 100%. Me, a cutiny. I do like a cutiny.
Yeah, the cutiny was funny as well.
That's
It's like a mutiny but cuter.
Yes. So good. And by the way, there was a little Easter egg right at the end in the shuttlecraft. And I'm wondering if you caught it. So when Tendy's back on the ship and she goes to see the shuttlecraft that her and Rutherford were working on together, that Talen had fixed completely, that Rutherford was like, oh no.
Well,
this
that Talen had now destroyed again, but yeah.
Talen then destroys it. And as they're coming into the shuttle bay and the destroyed shuttle is behind them and Talen stands up, someone peeks their head in the back corner of the destroyed shuttlecraft. Did you see it?
I didn't notice that. No.
Interesting. I'm going to leave that for next week. But if you saw the specific character that peeked their head out, put it down in the comments below. Let our boy JS know. I think there's going to be some shenanigans afoot based on what we saw. But again, the key here for me is they're all back together again. And I feel like we're going to get back to one solid narrative with the understanding that like now Captain Freeman's going to want to know why alternate Freeman wasn't on the ship, why she's at Starbase 80, which is apparently like just the ass end of Starfleet. I'm sure Mariner's going to have some crisis of conscience, seeing what she could become if she were to go along. And then, of course, we know Boimler struggle. So, yeah, everybody's going to have these struggles that are going to be going through the season like they have in previous seasons. And we'll get some payoff on all these. The key here will be, are they going to make the payoff as the season ends seem like a finale? Like, will they all get promoted to, like, mid-level crew? Or are they going to try to kind of leave it open in case they do get a chance to kind of shop this around a little bit? Or continue on with the characters in live action, or continue on with, like, you know what I mean? Like, whatever the case may be, I would hate for them to put, like, a kind of final stamp on it, and then they don't really have anywhere to go if it does have something more to do.
No, I understand what you're saying. I mean, it's a little early to predict that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I again, like I said at the top, a lot of these things are setups. They have to be setups for future things, right? There's got to be more coming down the pipe.
That's the pattern. Yeah.
Now, they did just promote them last season. Right, they're all now lieutenants. They're all now officers, lieutenant junior grades. Right, so they all just got promoted last year, which means they're technically no longer lower deckers. Technically,
right. Yes.
So
but
I can't imagine
now, instead of doing the lower deck work, they're supervising the lower deck.
They're supervising the lower deck.
It's still lower deck work that's happening, and they're there for it, right? So it kind of feels like no one's in stellar cartography figuring out.
No,
you know what I mean, like. And let's not forget too.
I don't think we're gonna get there. I don't think they're gonna get promoted again, because then, even if it's an end point, I don't know. I don't think I want them promoted any more than they already are.
Right. No, I agree. I'm just curious as to how they're gonna end it off in some type of like, this is the final episode of the final season. Like, we're not making any more of this, or they're gonna try to leave it as open as they can. Like, is it gonna feel like just another season? I guess I don't want to be let down by the time we get to the end and just be like, that was it. Like, we just had like a regular season, knowing it was the last season. They didn't really do anything like big or crazy or stupid or whatever. But
that's kind of why I'm a little bit disappointed in these first 2 episodes, because they were just okay. Right? It's the last season. There's only a few episodes of this show. I figured they would just all out, like balls out the whole way. Yeah. And it doesn't feel like that, right? Like, Lower Decks is one of those shows that, like, when it's a good episode, it's a fucking banger.
Yeah, it's
right.
Episode. Yep.
And these were not that.
No, they weren't. No, but I feel like we will tend to forget that as the show progresses, and it gets better and better and better as it goes. So.
I hope so. Guys, let us know what you guys thought of this episode. Did you guys, or these 2 episodes, I should say, did you like them? Did you not like them? What did you like about them? Are you in for this show? Do you want this show to continue? I for sure want these characters to live on. Bring the Cerritos crew back into live action. I would kill for that. That would be
It'd be dope.
Dope as hell.
Yep.
Dope as hell. Because if you
Agreed.
remember those old scientists, you know how good this can be in live action.
I agree. If there's anything that we missed talking about this week that you think we should have addressed, go ahead and put it in the comments below. If you are watching this and you haven't subbed yet, do your boys a solid. Go ahead and throw us a sub. Other than that, I'm looking forward to the rest of the season, and we'll see you back here Friday.
Till then, stay geeky, everybody.